I curtsy to Duchess Cecily, low, but not very low, out of respect to my husband's mother, and behind me I see my own mother sweep her grandest gesture and then stand still, her head up, a queen in everything but a crown. I will not pretend that I am happy with this secret marriage, the Dowager Duchess says rudely. Private. My mother interrupts smartly. The Duchess checks, amazed, and raises her perfectly arched eyebrows. I beg your pardon, Lady Rivers. Did you speak? Neither my daughter nor your son would so far forget themselves as to marry in secret. My mother says her Burgundy accent is suddenly revived. It's the very accent of elegance and style for the whole of Europe. She could not remind everyone more clearly that she is the daughter of the Count of St. Pol and Burgundian royalty by birth. She was Duchess of Bedford by her first marriage and head of the Lancaster court when the woman seated so proudly before us now was nothing more than Cecily Neville of Raby Castle. Of course it was not a secret wedding. I was there, and so were other witnesses. It was a private wedding. Your daughter is a widow and years older than my son. Her Grace joins battle. He is hardly an inexperienced boy. His reputation is notorious, and there are only 4 years between them. There is a gasp from the Queen's ladies and a flutter of alarm from her daughters. Margaret looks at me with sympathy, as if to say there is no escaping the humiliation which is to come. And the good thing, my mother says, warming to her theme, is that we can at least be sure that they are both fertile. Your son has several bastards, and my daughter 2 handsome, legitimate boys. Nonetheless, she was not my choice, nor the choice of Lord Warwick. Her Grace repeats, her voice trembling with anger. It would mean nothing if Edward were not king. I might overlook it if he were a 3rd or 4th son to throw himself away. Perhaps you might. But it does not concern us. King Edward is the king. The king is the king. God knows, he's fought enough battles to prove it. I could prevent him being the king, she rushes in, temper getting the better of her, her cheeks scarlet. I could disown him. I could deny him. I could put George on the throne in his place. How would you like that as the outcome of your so-called private wedding, Lady Rivers? More shame to you then, my mother says roundly. The rumours about Edward's fathering reached England. But I said, and even Queen Margaret d'Anjou, my friend, said that a great lady like you would not so demean herself as to lie with a common archer and slip his bastard into a nobleman's cradle. And anyway, if you can make the Lords throw down King Edward, who is going to support your new King George? Could you trust his brother Richard not to have his try at the throne? Would your kinsman, Lord Warwick, your great friend, not want the throne on his own account? And why should they not feud amongst themselves and make another generation of enemies, dividing the country, setting brother against brother again, destroying the very peace that your son has won for himself and his house? Would you destroy everything for nothing but spite? We all know the House of York is mad with ambition. Will we be able to watch you eat yourselves up like a greedy snake eats its own tail? It's too much for her. The King's mother puts her hands out and says, enough, enough. I speak as a friend, my mother says, quick as a sinuous river eel. Enough, the King's mother repeats. I just wanted you to know that this ill-conceived marriage is not my choice, though I see I must accept it. However much it galls me, however much it denigrates my son, I must accept it. I shall think of it as my cross to bear. I curtsy again. Shall I call you mother? I say cheerfully.